So everyone, we will start our next session, and we are delighted for this conference to have and had for the last 2 days two Ukrainian friends that will be talking about the Polish roots of Ukrainian harpsichord garden. So we have, and I'm sorry for the pronunciation, I'm doing my best, Professor Svitlana Shaobatina, professor at the Music Academy and head of the harpsichord class, and Lyuba Titarenko, PhD, teaching at the Music Academy.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor and a very big pleasure for us to be here today and to tell you about the story of playing historical instruments in today's Ukraine, how it started and what we have now. Something great usually starts with something small, as a big tree begins to grow from small seed laying under the ground. Sometimes in historical events, certain persons are very important, persons connected and helping each other. We can see it nowadays when many countries all over the world stand with Ukraine. Poland and Polish people give the greatest support to Ukrainians. No words can express our gratitude. We had to leave Ukraine, to leave our jobs, our homes, concerts, and life itself. That huge support which we receive here allow us to recover ourselves and to continue being musicians, which is really important for us, especially now. Professional interest in early music in Ukraine arose many years ago, thanks to close friendship of two women. Professor of Krakow Music Academy Elżbieta Stefańska and professor of Kyiv Music Academy Svitlana Shabaltina. Elżbieta Stefańska is a well-known harpsichordist all over the world, and in Poland she is really a legendary person. Her name is associated with great Polish music traditions. From the first minute entering her home here in Krakow, you immediately plunge into a wonderful atmosphere of loving music.
Our friendship has started in 1988. For me, it was completely new world. I was also impressed by harpsichord sound and, of course, by skills and mastership of Elżbieta Stefańska. All the time, I had already a successful career as a pianist and could not imagine harpsichord would take so important place in my further life. We've played together with Elżbieta Stefańska a lot in Poland and Ukraine. I always remember one concert in Opole in Poland. It was my first concert as harpsichordist and harpsichord pupil of Stefańska. We played Beethoven's four-hands sonata, harpsichord sonata, and I was so happy and so excited. Unique harpsichord sound and amazing world of early music captivated me so much that in 1995 I proposed to open harpsichord class in Kyiv Music Academy where I worked. Our harpsichord class had continued for 27 years. Well-known harpsichordists from Germany, England, Netherlands, Poland, France, Switzerland, and Italy came to Kyiv with concerts and masterclass during this time. Great importance for harpsichord playing in Ukraine, in Kyiv, have masterclasses of Elżbieta Stefańska. All generation of Ukrainian harpsichordists improved their skills in her annual summer courses in Krakow. They also had chance to spend time with her, to observe everyday practice of great musicians. During several years, we welcomed in Kyiv the project made in collaboration with Schola Cantorum Basilensis. There were wonderful master classes which gave us theoretical knowledge and practical information about historical performance. And of course, we enjoyed playing with Basel colleagues. Please.
There are many different manuscripts from different centuries in Ukraine. One very interesting manuscript is preserved in Museum of Music, Theatre and Cinema of Ukraine in Kiev. It is called Galaganivsky Vertep, and it contains Ukrainian vocal and instrumental music of 17th and 18th century. I need to say a few words about what is Vertep. Vertep is traditional Ukrainian performance for Christmas. In Poland, there is Szopka. It is very similar, and I'm sure in all countries something similar exists. It was like a wooden house with wooden dolls, and musicians or amateurs or professionals, they were singing instead of those heroes' dolls. The story in Ukrainian Vertep, and it is the peculiarity of Ukrainian Vertep, it consists of two parts. First one based on Bible, of course, and talks to ordinary people, tells them how Christ was born, how three tsars came, and how babies were killed, and then how King Herod was killed in the end. And the second time, and this is our Ukrainian peculiarity, it is secular music, and they presented in this secular part different types of Ukrainian society of that time, because we can see Cossack, we can see Gypsies, we can see Russians, we can see Polish people, we can see Jewish people as well, and we can understand that all these people were in that society and they were together. And in this second part of Vertep, all these people, they are very happy that Herod is dead, and good and everything good it is a winner, let's say that. Another unique thing about this, especially this manuscript of Galaganivsky Vertep, that it is written down with all words and all scores, because normally it was oral tradition, so it was just spread like this, and it was never written. And it was written by students from Kiev Mohyla Academy in 1770 as a present to noble family Galagani. That's why it is called Galaganivsky, Galagan's Vertep. Because they came with this performance for Christmas, and this family liked it so much that they hosted students for 1 week, and students gave it as a present all house wooden with all dolls and this manuscript, and all these original things, they are now preserved in this museum. And last year, a small group of Kiev musicians decided to study this manuscript and to make theatrical performance based on it, using all music from this score. And they invited me as a harpsichordist, and it was a really great experience for me. And we have a possibility to watch small video so you can understand how it looked. With support of Ukrainian Culture Fund. And the sound of harpsichord attracts not only Ukrainian performers, but also Ukrainian composers. And contemporary harpsichord music appeared in programs of a musical festival in Kiev. And I had an honor to premiere a few pieces there. Last December, I became finalist of Anne Liedemann competition in Amsterdam, and half of my program consisted of pieces written by Ukrainian composers. And actually one of these pieces you could hear in the concert here in Mysteria Paschalia on 21st of March. We always look also for new sounds for harpsichord, not only in solo repertoire, but in ensemble with other instruments. And one of the most unexpected, probably, and at the same time wonderful combination is duo harpsichord and accordion. Accordion belongs to some vocabulary information, belongs to portable free reed airphones, and its construction is similar to organ. That's why combination of accordion and harpsichord sounds so great. And pieces written for harpsichord and organ, for two organs and for two harpsichords, sound so natural played by this duo. Considering contemporary music for harpsichord and accordion, we will see that pieces written for accordion and guitar could be easily played by accordion and harpsichord. For example, music by Astor Piazzolla. And we can now listen a part, just a small part of recording made by Svetlana Shabaltina on harpsichord and Ukrainian famous accordionist Evgenia Cherkasova. And it will be Astor Piazzolla, famous Cafe 1930.
All this would not be possible without cooperation and friendship. It can sound like cliché, but when you suddenly find yourself in war, only true friends come and stand with you. The combination of great professional and great human qualities is not so often, and I am very happy that we have such friend as Elżbieta Stefańska. Thanks to her, now we have a home in Krakow, and we can talk to you there, here, today. We believe that music helps us to stay alive and strong, and friendship between musicians will save us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both for well sharing this space with us. It's very impressive to hear about the tradition that has blossomed really in Kiev, and the touch. It's so nice to hear the personal story of how you discover the harpsichord, fall in love, and build something beautiful. I don't know if there are questions or remarks from the room at this time, since we have these guests. This would be a good time. please. Let's, well, you have a very loud voice, but...
Thank you, Albert. You're so kind. I would love to know more about the tradition that you have just addressed. Is there also a tradition of performing this music elsewhere in what is now Ukraine? I mean, in Odessa or Kharkiv or other cities. Could you say a little more about this?
Вы поняли, да, вопрос?
Давай, отвечай.
Yes, we have. Actually, first of all, I should say that mostly we have harpsichordists. Step by step, other instruments they also involved and they are also interested. But let's say the huge
Main interest
main
now
interest
in harpsichordists.
We have harpsichordists in Lviv Academy. And the girl who started there, she also studied with Svetlana. We have harpsichord in Dnipro Conservatoire. It is rather big city in the east. Also, there is...
Our student.
Yes. And in Dnipro also, the girl, she started with Svetlana. She's her pupil, she went there. We have in Odessa also a harpsichordist. He came from Russia, I think. I'm not sure actually where is he from, but he is there. So the main studying centers are there, but we have also in Lviv Baroque orchestra. They have Baroque capella, it is called, and the harpsichordist, she rules that as well. Her name is Anna Ivanyushenko. And also in Lviv there is a festival, very old early music festival, well, rather old for Ukraine. It has 15 or 20 years, I think.
Yes.
And also some festivals they organize in Chernihiv in the north of Ukraine. It is old city with a lot of churches, so they have venues. But for education, they don't have harpsichord yet there.
Shortly, for our next festival, we have invited a young player who is playing maybe the Ukrainian harpsichord, the bandura. And it was very interesting about that because there is a Baroque tradition. The first time I think the instrument appeared in some manuscript is in the 14th century, maybe even older. So could you shortly tell us a little bit about the bandura, because it's a very exciting item.
Well, bandura is our national instrument, and we have, I can say...
It's bandura, of course, is a lute, and in different this plucked instrument is one family of harpsichord, but it's necessary to have specific knowledge to play, for example, bandura in style Baroque, because in our tradition, all style of music was under romantic tradition. That's why was a very difficult situation for beginner harpsichordist to have a real historical style of performance. And it was one main problem for us. Bandura, I think in future will play also in Baroque style because it's road.
But there was a problem. So this bandura, which we have now in conservatoire, it is, let's say, evolution, and it is not that original historical instrument, for example, which is in Brussels in Museum of Music Instruments. This tradition was really old, and it is connected with folk instruments and completely another repertoire. But mechanic is really like lute and harpsichord, and it is plucked. But why we have to rebuild this tradition as well, and we do this in Ukraine, musicians do this. Why rebuild? Because in 1920s or 30s, all bandurists, because it was very peculiar to Ukraine, they were gathered by Soviet government and they were just killed. And that's why the tradition was lost. And they added some pedals to bandura, and now this instrument, which we have in conservatoires all over Ukraine, it is not really historical one. There are, of course, people who started to rebuild it after 1991 when we received independence, and it happened immediately. But this is also another problem with bandura.
And now we can combine this old tradition with Baroque tradition. It will be very nice.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
It sounds pretty futile given what Ukraine is going through at the moment, but I mean, as soon as this all started happening, a lot of amateur groups and a lot of church choirs in the UK became very keen to perform as much Ukrainian music, to incorporate as much sacred Kievan music into the liturgy as they could. I wonder whether you had, or whether they're already available, whether you had any plans to make the scores of the 17th century sort of sacred dramas you were talking about available.
You mean the manuscript of this performance?
Yeah, or
yes,
even your
yes,
own
yes. It was the
editions,
part of our project. It is digitalized on the website of museum. If we can contact, and I can just send you the link, or even this paper, because it is free for downloading.
Oh, fantastic! Thank you.
Yes.
Hello, I'm very pleased. I don't know if you remember me. We met 12 years ago in Lviv, and I'm very happy that to see you again. Because I just wanted to add something, because in the last days I have been in contact with Bohdan in Lviv, who is the chief of the Composers Union, and they organize concerts there, and they are also the same who do the Early Music Festival. The background story is 12 years ago I was there and played and had, I think we already had, yes, we worked together. Yes, we had one session together. So I think it was on Barsanti Sonata, which I normally never play, but we did quite good. Yes. I think it's really, so, and I took now the microphone because it's in the last 2 days I have been in contact again with these friends, and so I have some up-to-date information which I promised to Bohdan to share here. They have a program on the internet where you can also listen on a very high level musicians in early music and also modern. Today I think is modern and romantic music mixed. It's called Muses Are Not Silent. And you will find it either on my Facebook, if you're on Facebook, or you just Google it. And then the good thing is they are in the Lviv Philharmonic, which is not a very big one, but a really nice building. And where in the daytime they collect the food packages and where the audience is. And on the stage in the evening they play. And so even today at 5 o'clock, there is one Muses Are Not Silent, so you can go and also have a link with donations for the musicians there. So because they also need to live, and they play on the super level like always. And just wanted to add that because it's last minute information I got. And I'm very pleased, and I hope we can have a chat afterwards about our Barsanti experience. Thank you.
Anyone else who would like to use the microphone? If not, we thank our guests again. Thank you, Luba. Thank you. This is wonderful.